Good morning. Hi, this is Armin Rao. I'm the founder of Innomista, the 5 Steps to Sustainable Innovation. Today's blog is my first video blog, so bear with me and I hope you're going to enjoy it. I'm looking forward to it. And what I would like to talk to you about today is a few ideas for you on how you can improve your innovation culture. I got inspired for this blog this morning by a blog post that I read on Saturday, actually 2 days ago, about a study done by a guy called Doug Williams, who works for an institution called IX Research. And in this study, these people found out that 68% of the managers and the innovation experts that they talked to found that innovation is important. Not very surprising from one point of view, but on the other hand, at least there is the conscience that innovation is an important topic in organizations. On the other hand, only 29% of the people thought that there was a consistent definition and terminology and language as far as innovation was concerned. What IX Research concludes from that is that there is a problem and a challenge with communication on innovation because the terminology is not clear, and hence a challenge with innovation culture. Now, that is one logic. If we just take the result of that logic, that innovation culture is a big challenge, then I can only say that that is confirmed by a study that I did last year with 90 managers in the German small and medium-sized enterprise market, the so-called German Mittelstand, where 53% of all respondents said that the most important thing they believe has to be changed in their organization is their innovation culture. Now, look at this. This is obviously a very, very big opportunity for you in your company. So given the fact that just as a first step, the culture, i.e. the behavior, the values, the thinking and the actions of your employees needs to be changed, and 53% think that this is important, then there is a huge opportunity for you to do that. The question is, how can you actually change your innovation culture in an effective way? Now, first of all, let me make this a little bit more concrete as far as my background is concerned. Now, maybe some facts about me before we go into the tips and tricks that I'd like to share with you. I've been in innovation for more than 25 years. Started off as a researcher and developer in a fantastic and exciting field called artificial intelligence, where my colleagues and I tried to make computers more intelligent, make them understand, for example, how human reasoning worked, how natural language was understood and generated, how the analysis of moving objects, in plain English seeing, could be taught to computers, and many other interesting things. In my next career step, I then took care of business process re-engineering, which some 20-30 years ago was a big management movement, the process thinking and how to innovate and make processes more efficient and effective, very much based on Hammer and Champy's very famous article in the Harvard Business Review, Don't Automate, Obliterate. I then changed to business process outsourcing work and helped to develop completely new business models for organizations, for example, by changing their back office functions into front office functions. So highly innovative challenges here, which I really like. And over the last 4 to 5 years of my management and international executives career, I took care of software solutions and led quite a few innovation initiatives as far as software solutions in the telecommunications area was concerned. So that is a little bit more about my background. Now let's talk a little bit about innovation culture again, and a few ideas for you on how you can actually act on this immediately. Now, the first thing about innovation culture is that there are various innovation blockers and innovation showstoppers which are very common in many organizations. And I'd like just to list 3 of those to you. The first one is that organizations and the people in the organizations tend to think in their own logic. So just to give you one example, let's say that an organization has seen that in their customer base, people, your customers are waiting a long time to get served. Now, the logic might be that waiting such a long time is a big problem for the customers. So you are starting to automate things and to replace, for example, service personnel by machines, and by that you hope that your customer will like that too, and that your customer will actually follow your logic and buy your machines. Well, the question is, does your customer actually think the same way? And does your customers think the same way? Are they, for example, annoyed by waiting in a queue? So there might be, depending on the culture of the country in which this customer is operating, that queuing is actually something which people like for social contact, for communicating or whatever. So it is not at all a given that your customers follow your logic. So the first thing that you have to do when you want to be more innovative and you want to change your innovation culture, get into your customers' shoes. Go to them and understand their logic. What do they need? What is actually getting on their nerves? What is their pain? It is completely irrelevant what your logic is about your product, the problems that you see, how your product solves these problems, and so on and so on. That is completely irrelevant. Try to understand your customer's problem and his or her pain first, and then follow his logic. Problem number 2 is what in the Innomista study that I conducted in 2013 in the German Mittelstand is called, at least in Germany, silo thinking. It actually means that various departments only live in their own world. So R&D creates great ideas, develops new technologies and new prototypes, and then asks marketing and sales to translate this into market success. Salespeople come back with problems and try to convince customers about solutions for problems that they might not have. And last but not least, these departments do not speak to each other. They do not work with each other in the innovation process. Everybody is concentrated on his or her own field and department. Silo thinking. Very, very big issue. That I have found out in the market. So the answer to this is build interdisciplinary teams and put into these teams people which might not have anything to do with the actual business, as for example people from your personnel department or people from your human resources, personnel department, human resources, from your legal department, who add completely different views to your innovation and idea creation process. Number 3, as an example, is the fact that in many organizations there is a concentration on short-term priorities. The daily business, some people call it only profit counts, only the bottom line counts. The daily business is predominantly the factor that counts in an organization. Very big mistake, especially in small and medium-sized enterprises. I know the pressure is much bigger because you do not have the big R&D budgets and the big money. On the other hand, you need to make the time for the innovation and reserve let's say half a day or a day per week to your interdisciplinary teams to work on innovative concepts. And don't do too many. If you are 50 people, maybe only have one of these teams. If you are 500, maybe have 2 or 3. And most importantly, steer it from the top. So have it on your agenda, at your board meetings, and look at the progress and protect these people also against the politics and the other tendencies in the market. So how do you now get this change from the current restricted innovation culture to the new innovation culture? Actually, 4 ways and 4 approaches. First of all, hire the right people. So you need people who are open to risks, people who put things into question, people who are happy to work with people from other disciplines, and people who want to change the status quo. So that is very important, that when you hire, you actually test people on these characteristics. Number 2, you need to train the people you have in innovation techniques and in an innovation culture. You can, for example, have team working workshops. You must certainly train them how to be more open to new ideas, how to celebrate their mistakes. Yeah, sounds funny, but celebrate your mistakes as learning opportunities. Number 3, reward and recognize innovation effort. Have your framework in every phase that you go through, have defined milestones, and once a team, an interdisciplinary team, has reached such a milestone, celebrate it. You know, have a little party. It must not be, or it need not be, something really big. Have a few beers in the Friday afternoon session, and just exchange where you are and where you might be going. That is all your responsibility as a company, team, department or division leader, and based on that reward and recognition, people will feel accepted, motivated and ready to go on. Last but not least, communication. Explain exactly, and that brings us back to the initial study that I quoted, define exactly what you mean by the different terms that you're using in innovation for your people. Describe an innovation framework that covers culture, innovation strategy, idea management, process, and open innovation. And that brings me to the bigger framework that I have developed for the improvement of innovation power in organizations, which I call INNOMISTA, the 5 steps to sustainable innovation. And these 5 steps are exactly innovation culture, innovation strategy, innovation process, idea management, and open innovation. The framework has got these 5 steps, and it has got 4 phases which are being run through to make your organization at least double as innovative as it is right now. So the first phase is to diagnose the current situation, and you do this with your management team. So there's a questionnaire that you use, and you assess the innovation power, the current innovation power in terms of culture, strategy, idea management, process and open innovation in your organization. Number 2 is what I call assessment, validation. You validate the results that you have produced with your management team, with your people, with all the employees in your organization. You then compare those and you analyze. What one central result of that analysis is the innovation SWOT, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats of your current innovation power. And based on that, you define your clear implementation plan to double your innovation power. What does that mean? You have got at least twice as many products and or services in large markets with a high growth than you had before. And that is actually the result. The main objective of innovation is to get as many products as you can into large markets with high growth. And that is then the opportunity to become a market leader and to sustainably increase your profits and your revenues. Now, if you enjoyed the thinking and the tips that I gave you about innovation as much as I did, feel free to contact me. I offer innovation coaching for managers, team leaders, company leaders, entrepreneurs in small and medium-sized businesses. If you are in a big corporation, no problem. You can also contact me in order to work together with me on your innovation power. I can teach you all about InnoMister, the whole framework. It is a very hands-on, step-by-step, easy to apply coaching system and easy to apply content that you can use to create results right away. Now, if you're interested, contact me either on Skype, that's arao1962, or send me an email to alr@bluenaranja.com. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Please leave also a comment for this post via Facebook, Google+, or other networks which are combined with this post. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you. See you soon. Bye-bye.